Hello, everybody, and of course, welcome back to another episode of X Talking Ish with your boy X.
And this,
You already know what to do, but if you are new to the show, please make sure you go ahead and like and share this broadcast. If you are on Facebook, please go ahead and hit our like button on Facebook, and as well, if you are on YouTube, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be notified for shows like this one in the future. Ding! Thank you for that, Ish. And as well, if you are on Twitter, go ahead and check us out on Periscope. I'm going to go ahead and also retweet us on my personal page at X underscore Williams 81. So there's no excuse not to check us out because we all on the airways. So with that being said, before we actually get into the nitty gritty of all of our topics, we haven't been on in a couple of months. So I just want to first hear from my guy Ish and just check in on you, see how you doing. How you doing, my brother?
no, man, I'm doing well. It was a good time to just kind of get away, get your batteries recharged. I watched a little bit of XFL. I didn't watch much USFL, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But I still kind of kept up with things here and there. But it's good to be back. It's good to be, running, getting back into the swing of things. Football season is coming back. It's probably one of my favorite times of the year, to just be honest. You got so much going on, and I'm already hearing good things out of Chiefs camp, so I'm feeling good already. But how are you? How are you, my man? I know we've been chopping up a little bit,
A
but
little bit. And look, we both have kids. We're a little
uh,
busier now than ever before, just due to our lifestyles and whatnot. So we
yes,
can't
sir.
sit around. We can't sit around the lunch table anymore and beat to grinding and talk about what Lorenzo is wearing anymore. So we kind of have to get on our grown man stuff and do what we got to do. But that's
Yes,
okay
sir.
because honestly, I feel like that makes us better people at the end of the day, and that's what we're here for: is become better people the older that we get. So, um, what I do want to talk about, though, before we get into our topics, is, and I know that nobody's really tuning in right now, but that's lost for you guys. Don't worry, we'll have people tune in on either on the podcast or if you re-air this broadcast. But for this upcoming season, like I talked to Ish about, I want to make our show a little bit more attractive to the viewers and make sure that you guys are tuning in on a weekly basis just to, of course, hear us blabber about the NFL. But one thing that I want to make sure that I'm able to show our appreciation to the people that tune in is I want to create a giveaway this upcoming season. I'm
Mm.
going to give away a signed helmet from Mr. Leonard Williams himself. This is a
Mm.
signed mini helmet from Leonard Williams. And what we will do, Ish and X, what we will do is set out stipulations on what you need to do to be able to qualify to be able to win this helmet. And at the end of the season, if you qualify, I will ship this helmet out to you personally to your home location, and you'll be able to have this signed helmet on your own mantle.
In person, right? You delivering it in person?
Well, it depends on who it is. If it's Lee, if it's Lee, I need to go see him anyway. So I might have to make a trip out to Kansas City. I might kill a couple birds with one stone. If you out there in Canada or across the pond in UK or something like that, you're gonna have to get this UPS shipment. So my apologies, you won't be able to go to UK, but you'll still be able to win this beautiful, fabulous New York Jets signed helmet. So with that being said, if you are a Jets fan, hey, keep paying attention throughout the season. If you're not a Jets fan and you just like to collect NFL memorabilia, this would be a great opportunity for you to add to your own sports mantle. So, speaking of autographs, autographs translate into money,
Mm-hmm.
and money is something that was definitely on the radar the last couple of days with these big deals, not just for course for quarterbacks, but for defensive players as well. And we're gonna go ahead and talk about that first before we get into some other topics. Now, over the last week or so, there's been a lot of bombshell news within the NFL when it comes to, of course, free agent signings, um, teams being sold to new ownership groups, running backs feeling some type of way about their worth within the NFL and how they are their position markets within the NFL. I guess you could say the money structure of how everything is structured within the NFL. So let's talk first about these new deals that have been agreed upon. Of course, Justin Herbert just signed, just within the last 3 or 4 hours, just signed the biggest deal for quarterbacks. I should say, my apologies, not the biggest deal, but the biggest extension, worth $262.5 million. Now, if you actually look at the numbers when it comes to quarterbacks, this pushes Patrick Mahomes' contract down to the 8th highest paid quarterback. I've said this once.
Go ahead.
No. You're probably not going to be mad at what I'm about to say, but I'm serious when I say this. If you look at the way that this contract has been laid out by the Chiefs organization, they're getting a steal. They're getting a great opportunity to be able to literally get probably the best quarterback in the NFL, and to not have to worry about his cap taking away from adding players on both sides of the ball. And at the time, of course, when he first signed the deal, a lot of people probably assumed that this was crazy. Why would you give a guy $500 million, when you might need to fill in holes here and there, right? But 4 years later, it's a steal of a deal for the Chiefs organization, because now everybody else has to match or go over that amount that they gave Patrick Mahomes. And I'm not talking about just the $500 million. I'm talking about per year and also guaranteed money. And now you had Lamar signed about a month-ish ago. You had Justin Herbert just signed. And now we're going to be waiting on Joe Burrow to sign his deal, which probably will definitely eclipse 262. But also, too, how will Cincinnati structure the deal to make sure that they're able to add on throughout their Joe Burrow era, to where everything isn't just dependent on Joe ish?
Yeah, I mean, that's always the question, I think, with these types of deals, right? Like, sure, you got your money. We definitely applauding. You deserve to get your money. I think that he's done enough that we can all say that, yeah, he should have got what he got, right? But at the same time, I think one of the things that we're looking at and we've got to say to ourselves is just, is there going to be a way to build around him? What money do you have after this? And not necessarily for just this year, but moving forward. You've got, obviously, you got a rookie that you're hoping turns good, and Quentin Johnson. When he's up for his contract in a couple of years, does this deal affect that? Are we restructuring this deal? What does that look like? You've got a number of players on the defensive side that you are obviously going to end up having to pay as well. Austin Eckler, I mean, we all know the running back situation, which we're going to get into later on, what's been going on with that. So, honestly speaking, when I heard about the deal and I saw the money fit right about where I thought it was going to be, right? And it was interesting that he did sign this extension, because I thought Joe Burrow might have been before him, but Joe Burrow is going to capitalize big time on this now, because we're probably going to see him break this. Let's just be honest. His deal is going to break this deal. So it's going to be interesting to see what that situation looks like, because they're going to be in the same boat as well with, I mean, think about it. You got Jamar Chase there. You got Boyd there. So you got two weapons over there already. There were questions about whether or not Boyd was going to leave, because is he going to be able to get his money? Who knows? With the extension that Burrow gets, that's going to be interesting. So the deal, I'm actually satisfied with the deal. I think the deal looks good. It's going to be great for Justin Herbert. Is it going to be great for the Chargers in the long run? That's one of those things we're going to have to wait and see. But ultimately, yeah, you signed your guy, so I guess you got to be happy about that, right?
I will also say, and add on too as well, I'm pretty sure this means that Justin Herbert isn't going anywhere anytime soon in LA, and this puts all the pressure on
no trade clause.
Well, I'm talking about, forget all that. I'm talking about it puts all the pressure on Brandon Staley to get his stuff together, because if we're being honest, he probably shouldn't have been able to get back on that plane after losing that game in Jacksonville. If we're being completely honest,
I
now
mean,
it's easy to blame. You can blame Justin Herbert, the defense, the off. You can blame everybody. I got it. But at the end of the day, it comes down. It just like we joke about the Atlanta Falcons losing that 28-3 lead, right, in the Super Bowl, and we want to get on Dan Snyder, Dan Quinn, and also Kyle Shanahan, and everybody want to talk about how, you should have did this with the offense, should have did that. Why can't we not point the fingers back at Brandon Staley, right? I mean, also with their offense coordinator, that's why he isn't there anymore, and they're bringing Kellen Moore. I think this is a make or break a year for Brandon Staley, because if Justin Herbert and Kellen Moore are firing all cylinders, and we saw how Kellen Moore has made Dak Prescott just number wise, make him look a lot better, in my opinion, than what he really is. If Kellen Moore can do the same thing with Justin Herbert, that contract is going to look cheap as hell later on, and Kellen Moore might be the head coach in a year or so, very quickly. If you look at the way that the NFL nowadays are structured when it comes to quarterback and coach pairings, that's just unfortunately now the norm. And if you, as a offense coordinator or quarterback coach or whatever, is like this with the quarterback, you have an opportunity to become a head coach. That's what it looks like right now. Now, obviously, the NFL and other sports happen in waves to where we might be in an era of offense. Soon we're going to be in an era of defense, to where defensive coordinators are going to start getting their jobs, because they're going to start showing how complex their defense is against these great offenses. So, but for right now, I don't think Kellen Moore deserves to be a head coach. But I'm just saying, I understand and I see how these general managers and owners are looking across the league, because the league is a copycat league, and they say, oh, well, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, or Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, or Mike McDaniels and Tua. Well, let's do the same thing with Kellen Moore and Justin Herbert. It just wouldn't surprise me on that one. So let me leave a dead horse dead and stop beating it up. Let's go ahead and move on to Kellen Moore's former team, Dallas Cowboys. Trevon Diggs, he signed a 5-year deal, 5-year extension, I should say, $97 million worth. This is honestly a little surprising to me. I thought they were going to probably wait till next year after the season's over with to do this deal, because, in my opinion, Diggs is going to set the market, right? I mean, because you have these other pretty damn good cornerbacks like PS2 and Tyreek Woolen, and of course Sauce. Obviously, Sauce is in his rookie deal. He literally just got him being going through his rookie year, and he's not looking for a new contract. But another 3 or 4 more years, we're going to start seeing DBs. We're going to start seeing guys like Prime and Charles Woodson and all these other guys talking about, man, I wish I would have played in this era, because this guy getting $122 million over the next 5 years. That's what's going to happen. I mean, all of the positions in the market are going to go up, maybe except for running back, but that's going to happen soon too. But for DBs, hey, they're definitely capitalizing right now, and Diggs is setting the tone.
Oh, for sure. Diggs, and the thing though that's interesting to me is the amount of money that Diggs got for. I know he did a lot with interceptions, and we could get into the whole conversation. I think we were talking about it last time. Asante Samuel started a whole discussion online about production versus perception or whatever he was trying to get into there. But I mean, at the end of the day, Diggs was kind of up and down for me. And I think when you look at what he was able to get, I mean, this doesn't bode well for the Broncos when you look at the Broncos or the Jets. Like, man, you're going to have to pay PS2. You're going to have to pay the Seahawks. You're going to have to pay Woolen. You're going to have to pay Sauce in New York. I mean, in the New York market, you're going to have to pay Sauce. So, like, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, man, as bad as the running back market is right now, man, the corners they're making up for it. They're eating good. So it's going to be interesting to see, like you said, some of these deals that are going to come after this, what they look like and how they're going to be structured.
No, I definitely agree. And like you said, going into this season, PS2 was ranked from players, coaches, and executives as the best DB going into this season now, of course. And again, Ish and I, we talked about this offline just a couple of days ago regarding DBs. And I mean, if you look across the league, I mean, this is a resurgence of damn good DBs because just about 10 years ago, really, it was like Revis and everybody else. Now we have some competition within that position, and PS2, for whatever reason, he doesn't get the respect that he deserves. I don't know why, but around the league, he definitely is getting his respect. And like you said, Ish, with Diggs being inconsistent, and again, I know Cowboy fans love him because of the interception numbers, but if you look at his bad plays, he has plenty of bad plays. And he kind of is low key, kind of like his version of Sante Samuel, if we're being honest. So if he's getting 97 million extension, like you said, Sauce, PS2, and Woolen, they definitely hitting that over 100 million. So let's go ahead and stay in New York and let's shift over to the other team in New York, and that's New York G-Man. Saquon Barkley. He, instead of being placed on a franchise tag, he signs a one-year deal, worth up to $10.1 million fully guaranteed, including a $2 million upfront signing bonus. Ish, I want you to start this one off first since I've been blabbering out the mouth. And how do you feel about this deal, and how do you feel about how all of this transpired? We'll talk a little bit more about the running back group after this segment, but I want to hear your thoughts about how this deal transpired.
How do I feel about this? Exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm scratching my head a little bit on this one because we heard all of the hoopla and the uproar about the market for running backs right now, and it was obvious that Saquon wasn't happy with having to play on the tag, and then he just goes ahead and he signs a one-year deal, but the money he's making on the one-year deal isn't much better than the tag. So I'm confused because I guess where I'm lacking understanding is, so is there some sort of agreement they're not going to tag him after next year? Is there some agreement that they're going to negotiate in good faith moving forward next year that he's going to get better money? Do the running backs after their Zoom call have some sort of plan for how they're going to attack the market next year? Like, there are a number of things I'm looking at from this one-year deal to try to understand how did you strengthen your position, and I'm just not seeing it. And it may be that I'm just short-sighted right now, and I need to, maybe take some time, digest the deal, really think about, the intricacies of what goes into signing that one-year deal versus playing on the tag. But my understanding, or what I think, is he signed a one-year deal, which means he's not playing on the tag, right? Mm-hmm. So does that not count towards the tag? And then you can get tagged next year?
Well, that's what I was going to follow up with you about when it comes to, well, if you're tagged this year, you can still get tagged the next year, but nothing else, you can't get tagged a third time. Yep. But I agree with you. Okay, so if you're signing this one-year deal, what happens after this? Are you signing this deal because both of y'all, or I should say Saquon, wants to kind of control his own destiny? So if I play this contract out, is either you guys either give me a new deal or I go elsewhere. Like, is it kind of, that's how I kind of look at it, to where I agree with your thought process is like, you're not getting the same contract with the franchise tag comparison as one-year deal.
Yep.
But the numbers, because of the incentives, you have to still obviously play up to a certain level to be able to even earn a certain amount of money instead of just playing on the tag and getting the guaranteed. Mm-hmm. So again, I'm not in the war room trying to discuss this with agents and whatnot, but it's just a little head scratching to have this deal because, Ish, I don't know about you, but the Giants have a great opportunity to capitalize on what they have in the moment.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out, not just throughout the season, of course, but in the offseason, because depending on what happens in the season is really going to determine what happens in the offseason with Saquon, because Daniel's locked up for, of course, the other 5 years, so he's not going anywhere. But Saquon, he really could feel like, look, I know my worth, and no disrespect to Danny, but you're not what you are without me. So if y'all feel like y'all can replace me, okay, cool. I'll go elsewhere and I'll go do what I need to do there. So, I, look, it's interesting. It's really interesting. I think this team is built to win the division and maybe make some noise in the playoffs like they did last year. They upset the Vikings last year, and maybe they could do the same thing again this upcoming season. But this whole team doesn't run without Saquon, and I mean that literally and figuratively. So go ahead
I
and move.
mean,
My bad.
yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. I hear what everybody's saying about Saquon's importance to the team and excuse me, what he brings to the team and why, is very important to have Saquon there. Um, I just think my boy Danny Don's not getting the kind of respect he deserves.
Here you
If I'm
go.
just being honest,
I
okay.
understand. Yeah, I
So
understand.
I just think like, hey, we gotta, take a step back, respect my man Danny Dimes, okay? He is gonna be there. He gonna help out a little bit, and we're gonna see. I think at the end of the day, he realizes the value that Saquon brings, and he's definitely gonna, try to show out again this year to help Saquon get the money he deserves in the offseason. And if he's not doing that, then Danny, we're gonna have to have a discussion at our next brand meeting.
You're definitely gonna have a discussion with Danny Wooden Nickel, but we'll be definitely be talking about him and
Stop hating on
some of
Danny.
these other mediocre quarterbacks throughout the season. So
Mediocre, Brad. Don't do that. Don't do that, Brad. The season just started, and you already on some nonsense.
technically it
Let's
hasn't
not
started
start
yet.
like that. No, let's not start like that. Brad, training camp is the beginning of the season, right? The training camp's the beginning of the football season.
Okay,
So the
touche.
season has just started, and you already on some nonsense with Danny Dimes. Stop that
I just
right
want
now.
him to live up to that contract. That's all.
Right, he got the contract because he was living up to the hype, bro.
Oh,
What are you
okay.
talking about? One of
Oh.
the best rushing quarterbacks in the league.
See, this is what happens when people out here just throwing out hot takes to go viral because nobody in their everlasting mind believes that Daniel Jones is the best running quarterback in the NFL. So let's just go ahead and move on this because you're gonna be on this topic for another 15 minutes. Let's move on.
I mean,
All right.
we could go all day.
Again, we're shifting back to New York and going back to the Jets. Quentin Williams agreed to a 4-year deal, $96 million, $66 million guaranteed. We'll go very, very quickly on Quentin Williams, and there's no disrespect to him, but well deserved,
Yes, sir.
big time player. I feel like he's been doing everything he needed to do in that New York market since day one. And then also to see his counterpart, of course, another Giants player, Dexter Lawrence, just a month-ish ago, signed his deal as well. Big boys are getting paid. But again, it'll be interesting, like you said, like we talked about with everybody changing the market. It'd be interesting to see what these other guys get. I'm just using my guy Jeffrey Simmons from the Titans, of course, and of course the big one, Chris Jones with the Kansas City Chiefs. Chris wants his bag, but also in Kansas City, if you get your bag, it's kind of hard to take care of that defense. So it's something that they'll have to figure out, which seems like Kansas City has been doing a great job the last 5+ years, being able to find a way to make sure that everybody is taking, well, the people that they want to make sure to take care of. Frank Clark said, hey, I'm up out of here. I'm going to go get my money elsewhere. But for Chris Jones, it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out because the Chiefs know they need him. He knows he needs the Chiefs too, though, because can he do both as in be dominant and also be in the playoffs every year with a different team? Just don't know. But the best thing that the Chiefs have right now is letting people know that, hey, I'm going to drop these rings right here on the table. You want to help us win some more, or you want to go play somewhere else? Oh, okay. That's all. That's really the spill that you have to use right now in this day and age.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big deal. Definitely, it's nice to see the big dudes getting paid. It's definitely nice to see them taking care of the bread and butter in New York. I mean, that's to be expected. You got a defensive coach there. He's gonna take care of his guys. Like any of the other deals we kind of talked about this tonight, I'm definitely looking at, what is this deal? What is the impact of this deal down the line on Sauce when it's time for him to get his money, right? Brees Hall, you got him there. I know he's a running back, but at the end of the day, if he is able to live up to the hype that was already there, You're gonna have to do something to keep him around.
You forget about the main offensive weapon besides Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson.
I was just getting to Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is there, and then you also have their reports now. We know what a great mentor Aaron Rodgers is, and how
Zach Wilson
to his tutelage helps to create wonderful quarterbacks. There, the reports that Zach Wilson came back as a new quarterback, in training camp. So, or at least at the beginning of training camp. So we're gonna have to see how that story plays out throughout training camp, throughout preseason. You're not playing this year, Zach, but hey, if he does live up to what they wanted him to be, expect him to be, at some point you're gonna have to pay him too, right? So it'll be interesting to see.
You ain't getting 40 million, I'll tell you that. You ain't getting 40.
Okay, you don't know that. A lot of people were saying that about Danny Dimes before last year. Look how it played out.
Okay, all right. We'll see how that all plays out. But Zach Wilson ain't getting no 40 million.
How it played out, man.
He ain't getting no 40
million.
All right, let's stick with the money side of things at the moment, and we'll of course discuss this running back situation that we have going on in the NFL. It's very interesting, and I keep seeing this silly meme that keeps populating on social media in regards of using the average between a kicker and a running back, and pretty much people thinking that kickers make more than running backs on an average. In reality, that's not really fair to use as an example because there's not as many kickers in comparison to running backs. So the numbers look skewed. So let's not go off the numbers because, like I say all the time, numbers do lie. So with that being said, top running backs in the NFL have organized a group text chain during which they have been commiserating about the current market at the position and brainstorming regarding strategies for improving the situation. So with that being said, we saw Saquon, and we just talked about Saquon kind of, and I'll be the first one to say it. I think he buckled. I feel like Saquon didn't just talked about it and didn't be about it. You got onto a podcast just a couple of days ago, and it's not just Saquon, it's all these other guys, NFL, MLB, whatever it is. Y'all want to get on these podcasts, talk all this crazy mess and whatnot, and then once you get off the podcast, we know what we said on the podcast. Draymond Green, you one of them too. Yeah, I'm calling most of y'all out because y'all ridiculous. Y'all gonna get on these podcasts, talk all crazy, and then when it's time to negotiate, Saquon, you know what? Maybe this $10.1 million guarantees, maybe this is all right. I just need to add a couple of incentives. Where's y'all have the power? Y'all might not have all the power, but you have a little bit of power to try to figure out something. Now, me as a logical person, the running backs really can't do anything until the next CBA. I mean, you can sit out all you want to, you can complain, but reality, when the next CBA comes up, all of the guys, running backs, quarterbacks, down to kickers, y'all got to get together and figure something out because there should be no reason why a guy like Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb are making less money than Corey Davis. There's really no reason why guys like them guys like, again, a wide receiver 3 are making more money than two of the best running backs in the NFL, who's been the best running backs for the last 3 or 4 years now. Now, every running back is not like Frank Gore. Every running back is not like Adrian Peterson. You're not going to see running backs lasting for 20 years. It's really mind-blowing to see these two guys do that at their age. So then once they become over the hill anyways, a lot of these owners don't want to pay them anyways. So if they're not able to get their big contract when it's their second contract or maybe even their third, then at what point do we start talking about this position starting to become irrelevant? When in reality, if you look back in the past of the glory days of the NFL, if you didn't have a running back, you didn't have nothing. It wasn't even about a quarterback. It was about running back. But it also goes to show you this shift and the change of sports and just the football in general when it comes to how positions are looked at. So with that being said, how are running backs going to go about this? And just in your opinion, and also what are the running back position guys? What are they going to have to do to show owners their worth?
So you asked the question, is it worth being a running back anymore? I mean, the numbers would say no. I don't think that the relevance of the position is going to I don't think the relevance of the position is necessarily going to decrease, but I do think that at the end of the day, when you really look at it, um, it's sad to say, but running backs kind of hurt their own market, right? Because unfortunately, when you got guys that have been able to come in to the league, and it's not a knock on people coming in and being motivated and doing what they have to do. But when guys come into the league and they're able to perform at a certain level, a higher level than expected, and you can pay them literally peanuts to go do all the things that a big name running back would do for you, it makes the market hard to navigate, right? It's going to make the market really hard to navigate. And I think that it's just one of those things where I don't know how you do anything without making certain stipulations or trying to make stipulations in the CBA. How that's going to work out, I don't know. But it's one of those things where it's just like they're in a tough spot because from the human aspect, they get beat up. They do a lot more than other positions. I think that they definitely should be one of the top paid positions on the team. But at the same time, as a business person, if you can go out there in a later round and get a guy that's going to come in and be able to perform and do the things that maybe you don't necessarily have to be as good as Saquon, but if you can be a little bit, just a little decent, our offense might still be able to make some waves.
Or we can have two running backs for doing what one running back did.
There you go. Then it's like, then why am I going to pay the money when I've got to pay that money somewhere else? Like we've been talking about with all these contracts. I mean, DBs are having need to get paid. You got defensive linemen that need to get paid and are getting paid well. Offensive tackles are getting paid really well. The quarterback position, the numbers just keep going up and up, and we don't know when that's going to stop. I just think that there's a position is going to take the hit somehow, some way. A position is going to take the hit. Unfortunately, it's running backs. And I don't know how you correct the market, or I don't know how they find a way to correct the market. Because let's say, okay, I saw somebody say something ridiculous that I literally sat there and thought to myself, and I said, you must not, you really didn't think about this before you said it, right? If you say, okay, we're going to emphasize our injuries more, right? So when I'm hurt, I'm not playing. I'm not going to risk myself to play for you. If you're not available to play, what is my incentive to pay you the money you want? Somebody was saying, Saquon, sit out the whole year. All Saquon does by sitting out the whole year is lose.
Hurt him. Yep.
And then he got to come back, and it doesn't count towards the cap. Even Le'Veon said, I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have done it.
Now, Le'Veon, I agree. He did say that. But at the end of the day, he got his money.
Well, he did his money. There's no doubt. But he ended up on a team, a great fit. They didn't utilize him the right way. And look where it got him. So, I mean, yeah, it kind of worked out. But when we look at it, it's one of those things where it's debatable, right? Because you could say he got his money, but also when you think about it and when he talks about it, it seems like if he could go back, he would have went back to Pittsburgh.
I mean, shoot, if you look
at that, less to play with a better team.
If you look at that Steelers team, the Killer Bees, when you had Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, I'm pretty sure all three of those guys would look back and say, man, we had something, man. If we would have just put our egos to the side. I'm talking about AB mainly. I'm talking about AB and goes with Big Ben as well too. Would have put our egos to the side, man. We could have had something special. You could have. I mean, they had either top 3 at
See,
that
but I
time or
also
top
hate
5
that
position.
though. I hate that I hate that we have to do it like that and say like, well, if you just put your ego aside and you take a little bit of a cut, because it's like in a sport like football where
Ain't shit
who
guaranteed.
knows how
Ain't
long
shit
you last,
guaranteed.
right?
I agree. No, I agree.
And
I
your
agree.
contract isn't fully guaranteed. Like, why should you have to, you know what I mean? Like, why should you have to sit back and take one for the team or something?
Well,
Because
we can shift that same conversation to your team, to the Kansas City Chiefs, right? I mean, they are the team to emulate throughout the rest of the league when it comes to being able to pay your quarterback a certain amount of wage to where it doesn't take over the rest of the cap for the rest of the team and be able to plug and play throughout on both sides of the ball. Now, everybody isn't fortunate enough to do that, and everybody isn't fortunate enough to have a damn good quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. And Big Ben in that situation was definitely on the back end of his career to where I'm pretty sure AB and Le'Veon just didn't know how much longer Big Ben had of elite play. So I mean, look, all of these situations we can nitpick, we can case by case basis, we can do all, but what it comes down to at the end of the day for these running backs, they have to figure out what they need to do coming to the table at the next CBA. Because if they don't have all their eggs in one basket, ducks in a row, and figure this out, they're just gonna be right back in the same situation for the next 10 more years. So Dooley, he says, I feel you, Ish, in a passing league, a half-ass running back could easily assist the offense. Why not pay defenders and linemen? I'm with you, bro. And Dooley also says, AB, the GOAT.
I don't know about all that.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to, I would say, probably the biggest free agent signing this offseason. People might say something else, but Titans finally, or I should say, DeAndre Hopkins finally made a decision on where he was going to land. Ends up in Tennessee, and I'll be the first to say, I'll be completely honest, I was not expecting this. I honestly was not expecting DeAndre to come here because he stated that he wanted to play somewhere where he could win a Super Bowl. And at this moment, and this is coming from a guy that's been watching the Tennessee Titans since they moved from Houston to Tennessee, I don't know what type of position that we are in right now as an organization. Because if you look at our main 3 players with Tannehill, Derrick Henry, and now DeAndre Hopkins, the average age at the moment is over 30, 31.9 to be exact. And at the moment, that is actually the highest age when it comes to the 3 position groups on offense out of everybody in the NFL. So to me, Ish, that means you need to win now. This is no, oh, we can win in 2 or 3 more. No, 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 no. If you're trying to do this, as in bringing Hopkins, and the defense is elite, and it will be elite due to Mike Vrabel, but it's the offense. The offense has been inept for the last 10 plus years, except for the AJ Brown year just a couple of years ago. Other than that, the offense itself has been holding the Tennessee Titans back. I've had plenty of people ask me, how did I feel about this deal? What do I think about this DeAndre Hopkins deal? I'm happy he gets his money. I've been a Hop fan even since he's been with the Texans. I just hated that he played for the Texans. I'm ecstatic that he was the Titans, but I just wish it was 5 years ago. I just wish it wasn't in the back end of his career because unfortunately Tennessee Titans have this thing where wide receivers come to Tennessee to come and die. Andre Johnson, Randy Moss, and just recently, of course, Julio Jones. I don't know where this is going to end up. Are we going to be a number 1 or 2 seed in the AFC and lose in the first or second round of playoffs like we always do? Is it going to be one of those years where we fight to get a wild card and we surprise everybody and make a run and get to the AFC Championship game because of that's how we play better when our backs are against the wall? Are we just going to be either a mediocre team that doesn't even make the playoffs? I do not know what's going on with the direction of what we're trying to do moving forward. But what I do know is that in the next couple of years, when this new stadium is built, we will have a whole new team and young guys, and we'll be opening up this new stadium. But I don't know what's going to happen with this. Let me get to the comments right quick, and I want to hear what you have to say about it. Dooley says, I like it. He's going to get 1K. It creates a different type of offense. The Titans got a chance, bro. They just got to get rid of Tannehill. LR, just my opinion. Get rid of Tannehill and get who? Malik Willis or Will Levis? I mean, that's my point that I'm talking about is we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Like Malik Willis reports looks a lot better than he did last season, but I mean, shit, it's only all you can do is go up from what he put out last year. So to me, that's not really telling anything. Will Levis, I keep hearing mixed reviews on he's looking great, and then one day he looks like shit. I don't know the position. I don't know where that position of quarterback is going to go after Tannehill is not the starter anymore. Greg says I know it's early, but what do y'all think his projected stats will be for this season? I agree with Dooley when it comes to at least a minimum of 1K, at least 7, 8 touchdowns. But again, other than that, as a wide receiver, we want to get our stats. That's fine, but we also want to win too. So are we getting at least minimum 10 wins? Are we going to make the playoffs? We're going to win the division? That's what we really need to be focusing on when it comes to adding DeAndre Hopkins. But it'll be very interesting, Ish.
Man. Oh man. So the situation for me is this, right? I looked at it, and like you said, Tennessee is where receivers' careers go to die. If we just being honest, receivers' careers go to die in Tennessee.
Yep.
So I'm looking at it, and I'm saying to myself, what does this change realistically for the Titans, right? Do they get one hell of a player? Yes, they do. Do they get somebody that's hella motivated? Yes, they do. Also, there's a little bit of petty factor in there in the fact that he gets to play the Texans twice a year. I mean, so there's that. But when I look at that offense and I try to analyze, like, what impact does he bring? I agree with you and Dooley. He's gonna get his touches. Why? Because
DeAndre Hopkins.
Who else y'all giving the touches to in the passing game? Let's just be honest. Who else are they really giving the touches to in the passing game? So he has to get his touches. But when you think about what the Titans were able to do last year and what that offense looked like last year, even with putting DeAndre Hopkins in there, I don't know that he makes a big impact when I think about winning games. That's where I'm a little concerned, right? Am I concerned that he's going to get numbers? No, but I'm concerned at the impact of winning games because is Burks going to really pick up this year?
I'm happy you brought that up because I was going to follow up with you on that.
Really going to pick up this year, and he's going to be that number 2 guy that's going to force defenses to respect him enough that DeAndre is able to do what he needs to do against these teams without being doubled or the coverage leaning towards him. Like, is that going to be there? We know King Henry's going to demand respect, but also King Henry is an aging back in this league. No disrespect to him. He still was able to play. I mean, he played pretty much almost every game last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's not like injuries is a big problem for him. But at the same time, we do need to be realistic in the fact that he is an aging back. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, I just don't know, man. I don't know if this helps the Titans become a Super Bowl contender. Does it help them in the AFC South? I'm still debating that one. I don't know for sure if they overtake the Jags for me. I think it's going to be another close race. And we're just going to see who's going to actually want to win this year because it always seemed like in the AFC South
here you go.
Nobody want to win.
It's definitely going to be NFC South this season for that. Don't disrespect the division. The division is going to be a lot better this upcoming season. And also, and I hate to say this, but I'm going to say, watch out for Anthony Richardson with the Colts. He will sooner or later he will be starting, and I expect big things from him.
You expect big things from him.
I do. I like him. I like him, and I'll be the first. I'll be on that damn boat. I'll be on that boat by myself with the good and the bad that happens. Anthony Richardson. He's either
I
going to
hope
be a
they utilize
star.
him the
He's
right
either
way.
going to be a star or he's going to be a bust. And
I hope they
I'll
utilize
be
him
on
the
that.
right way. That's. I just hope they utilize him the right way.
I
I do
agree.
think he's gonna have to start early on, and it'll be interesting in the AFC South. I mean, it's a lot of young quarterbacks. If we're just
Yep.
thinking about it, it's a lot of young quarterbacks other than Tannehill. But realistically, how long do you think Tannehill lasts in the season? Do you think y'all gonna give him the whole season?
You talking about Tannehill?
Yeah. Do you
I
think
mean,
y'all give him the whole season? Like, if you
honestly,
didn't think about it, do you think that y'all can afford to give him the entire season to do whatever he needs to do?
I mean, if he's still being productive and he's still winning games, it's really hard to take the ball out of his hand because you're going to give to two guys that are one of two guys who's not proven it. I mean, I when I saw Malik Willis play last season, I was just very disappointed when it comes to this how he played and with Will Levis. I think he still has multiple question marks on how good he really is or can be. So we'll see. We'll see these young guys in preseason. We'll see how good they can be and whatnot. So we'll see what happens with that when the time comes. But I wanted to piggyback off what you said with Treylon Burks
Mm-hmm.
because really that's what DeAndre Hopkins brings to the wide receiver group more than anything. That's something he talked about before he joined the team is whoever team I join, I'm going to make the other wide receivers' job that much easier. And if we're being honest, Treylon Burks needs that going into year two because of mainly it's a confidence thing for me. It's a mentality, confidence thing for Burks because last season in training camp he started off wheezing because he had asthma and couldn't adapt to the weather in Nashville. Now that's Nashville, right? I've been in Nashville multiple times. Nashville is not a horrible weather type of city. I can understand that if you're in Houston, Arizona, um, maybe even Louisiana near a swamp somewhere, but to because apparently he has asthma and to have to use an inhaler out in Nashville, it kind of worried me. Now, reports are towards the end of the season, he was able to get his stamina back, be able to breathe the way he's able to breathe. I haven't heard any reports this season, this training camp about anything holding him back. So I'm expecting Burks to get a minimum of 700 receiving yards if DeAndre Hopkins is able to do his job and free up because Burks should be able to get one-on-one play about 80-90% of the time. Now, until he's able to make plays, and then of course defense will start adjusting again. But if everything goes right for the Titans, 11, maybe 12 wins. But for Tennessee, we've seen this movie before. I don't care about the regular season anymore. I'm not saying we're the Bills, the Chiefs, anybody on the NFC side maybe that continues to win. We have to win in the playoffs for anybody in the league to take us seriously. We'll talk about Netflix series quarterback probably next week, but something that Patrick Mahomes talked about in that series is when they played against Tennessee, he said, "Man, these guys are tough. These guys are disciplined, well coached by Vrabel, and every time we play them, they're a tough matchup." So one thing about Tennessee within the league, they are taken seriously, and a lot of people respect the Tennessee Titans. Now, casual fans might not care because people haven't heard from us since maybe the Super Bowl or Cortland Finnegan getting beat up in Houston or Vince Young or whatever it is that you want to talk down on the Tennessee Titans for. That's perfectly fine. But it takes 1 or 2 years to change the narrative of how people view your organization. We see that with Cincinnati, right? We see that with Kansas City. Kansas City, they didn't win a Super Bowl for 50 for 50. I'm sorry, about 50 years until just recently winning their most recent past 2 championships. They haven't won a Super Bowl since Super Bowl 4, right? That's what I'm talking about. Super Bowl 4, and then most recently now. But in between that, they weren't able to get the job done as well.
Why you
So
trying to single us out, bro?
I'm not. I'm just using y'all as an example. Or I
No.
can use I'll use the better example, the Patriots. At one point in time, the Patriots were considered the pansies in the 70s and 80s. They were looked at as trash. Of course, Bill Belichick comes in. I'm sorry, Robert Kraft buys his team. Bill Belichick comes in. Some guy named Tom Brady, never heard of him, and then the rest is history, right? So all it takes is a change of the guard to put the right pieces in place for people to view your organization completely different. Speaking of that for me is able to segue perfectly into the Washington Commanders finally getting rid of Daniel Snyder for a new organization group. Now, this here is something that's probably been waiting on for at least 5+ years now. And I'm hoping Dooley is still tuning in because if you tune into the show, of course, you know that Dooley's favorite team is the Washington Commanders. Now, when they're not winning, he usually reps the West Coast. Now, anytime that the Commanders aren't winning, he's riding with the Bay teams or LA teams or anything in Cali. Now that they're finally moved on from Dan Snyder, I want to see if my boy is going to start rocking this Washington gear. Now, the interesting thing about Josh Harris, who takes over as the owner, even though he has a group of investors that are a part of this ownership group, one thing that he did mention, and I think this is great for the organization, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, but they're already looking into changing the name of the team. Now, this will be the third name change within the last, 4 years or so, but I think it's honestly the best thing that Washington can do. Because, first of all, I honestly like the Washington football team. I thought Washington football team was kind of cool. It was cool, throwback-ish, a little old school, cool. Commanders, I don't hate it, I don't love it, but it's just right? So I think if Josh Harris comes in and they actually get a pretty damn decent name, and maybe just like the names that they had mentioned before, they changed the Commanders, like the Red Tails or something Black Hawks or something. I don't know, something interesting to where it's not just the Washington
Transformers
or maybe the Transformers. Then I think it helps push the new regime over to the next ownership group to get that stanky ass taste of Dan Snyder out of their mouths, and the Washington football fan base can be able to move on. And I know a lot of people feel some type of way about the Redskins being taken away in general, and a lot of people want to still hold on to that. But I think this is a great opportunity for all of the Washington fan base, from the Redskins to the Washington football team and the Commanders, to come together and move on and be able to maybe even bring a championship back to that Washington, D.C. area, I should say.
I don't really have too much to say on this one because I think it's been a long time coming. It needed to happen, and now that it's finally happened, everybody can finally focus on the things that matter. I'm interested to see with this name change thing that people are talking about. I'm interested to see what that looks like. What are people saying about that? I honestly don't know. I don't know what they're about to do. The name change. I don't know where they go with that one. The Washington politicians.
Nah, that might be a little too political there.
I don't know, but I'm just interested to see, how does this affect the organization? Do you get better atmosphere in the organization? Does this help Ron Rivera for a couple more years over there? Does it give them the bounce back they need, the juice they need to, maybe go back and compete for the NFC East? Who knows?
I definitely agree.
It's been a long time coming, and they definitely deserve that. So
now, what about if they take a page out of the movie The Replacements and go with the Washington Sentinels?
I mean, sure, if you want to. I don't really care what they change the name to. They could just be the football team. Go back to
that's tuning in. Let us know what you think. We saw Fracture Walnut, our boy Fracture Walnut, tuning in. He says, drop Washington and make them the DC Commanders. I think that might be a little too close to the XFL team, though.
Yeah,
that's the only thing with that, though. Again, maybe Red Tails. I like Sentinels, and I guess obviously you got to keep it within that DC region and try to bring something that's close to that era. But the good thing about Josh Harris is that he's actually from that area, and he remembers back in the day when Washington was on top at one point in time, and remember the excitement and joy that the team brought to that city. And who knows, maybe he might be able to get with former Redskin players and think and ask them what their opinion on what they should do moving forward with the team name. And who knows, maybe they might do what a lot of course, either expansion teams do or new teams when it comes to ask the fan base. Let's pick 4 or 5 names and you guys pick and whatever it is, and then we'll go with that or whatnot. I like you said, it's just going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. But overall, I thought the main thing that was interesting with this transaction is that you actually, of course, if you don't know this, you need 2/3 of the vote within the owners to be able to bring in a new ownership, right? Everybody signed off on this one. All 32 teams said, all right, Dan, you got to get up on out of here. And if the reports are true, when it comes to a lot of the mischievous things that Dan Snyder has done, wouldn't surprise me at all. This is not the last time we hear from Dan Snyder. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Within the next 6 months or a year, he might drop a bombshell on the NFL as a whole when it comes to maybe some things that the NFL is doing, some owners might be doing. Wouldn't surprise me at all if some spitefulness comes out of this whole situation. Because if it was me, I'm taking my $6 billion and y'all gonna see me on a yacht somewhere. I'm sipping on Mai Tais and hanging out with my wifey. But Dan Snyder, he got $6 billion to go to take to court to bring some folks down if he wants to. So it'd be interesting to see how this all plays out. All right. That pretty much wraps up for tonight. But before we get out of here, I just want to repeat myself. Like I said earlier in the show, this upcoming season will be
Washington Monuments. I like that.
Washington Monuments. I'm not mad at that. Who said that? Kobe Gardner. Shout out to Kobe G. One of the best quarterbacks we've ever played with.
I'm still going with the politicians. Washington politicians is my vote, and I want y'all to choose like Abraham Lincoln as the mascot or something.
So will they do what the Nationals do when it comes to have the president race around the?
Yeah. Matter of fact, you could change the president every game. You can change the president that's on the helmet. There you go.
We'll come back to that one.
I mean, hey, it's something.
So like I said before and earlier in the show, make sure you guys tune in this season. We will be giving away a autographed mini helmet from Mr. Leonard Williams. Like I told Ish and said earlier in the show, I want to make this show a lot more engaging for the guys that are tuning in. I want to make sure that you guys are having fun while y'all watch us talk about football. So throughout the season, we're going to be dropping clues, and we're going to be pretty much having you guys make sure you tune in and pay attention, because at the end of the season, if you're able to recognize some of the clues that we drop throughout the season, you'll be able to be qualified for that beautiful signed mini helmet. And as well, you will need to have a couple qualifications when it comes to, of course, making sure you like and share this broadcast, and as well as a couple other things. And we'll, of course, post all that on our social medias. But for the most part, I want to make sure that I show my gratitude to everybody that tunes in, and we appreciate y'all on every week basis. You guys do not have to tune in to us, but you guys do, and we appreciate that. So you ain't gonna find this on ESPN. You ain't gonna find this on Fox. You ain't gonna even find this on Good Morning Football. Personalized from your boy, giving it to you if you just tune in, right? Signed helmet, baby. Signed helmet. This is real deal Holyfield. This is not no BS. And this is just year 1. Year 2, year 3, things are gonna get bigger and even better when it comes to the giveaway. So make sure you tune in, baby.
Hand delivered.
See, it's playing. I'm not hand delivering shit.
Hand delivered.
I'm not hand delivering shit. Anywho, I might, again, if you're in Houston, I might be able to do that, and also I record
anywhere in the world. That man said he hand delivering it.
See, it's putting words in my mouth. It's putting words in my mouth. That's not what I said. Anywho, let's go ahead and let you guys go. We appreciate y'all once again for tuning in to X Talking Ish.
We're back, baby.
We are back. The NFL is back. Training camp is back. And guess what? We ain't got no fat backs. So we here. Yeah, I said it. Our backs are skinny. No fat back around here, Playboy.
Yeah, I guess.
All righty then. With that being said, we will see y'all next Tuesday to recap week 1 of training camp and a couple of other things. And as always, make sure you guys tune in next Talking Ish. See you next time. Thank you.
Peace.